Going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. I hope everyone's doing fantastic tonight. I hope you guys have had a great Tuesday. I hope you guys are ready for another live 2024 fantasy football mock draft with you guys, with the Catch fam. We are up and into a 12-team full PPR mock. We got one quarterback, one tight end, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a double flex, and 5 bench spots. This is basically what all of our mocks have and will be for the remainder of the offseason. So we're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to talk some fantasy football. That's what we do here. Smokey, I am getting as fast as I can to the YouTube chat. There's the link. Take 1.1 or 1.2, no random spots. So we'll get this filled here. We'll get cracking. Basically, as soon as this fills, we'll get started. I'll probably send out like a final warning on Discord, and then we'll get going. So if you guys are in the draft, be ready to go. One more spot. Link is in the chat. Link is on Discord. Who's going to take the 1.1? Do it. Do it. Do it. All right. Let's see. Hop into our fantasy news. Oh, and it's Silver Rapture takes it. All right. Mock is starting. Final warnings out. Send it on Sleeper as well, just in case. And we are cooking with bacon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. All right, at the 1.10. I think it was at the 1.10 last draft, too. I've been trying to take the 1.4 or the 1.10 because in the Catch Fam League 1 and 2, those are my 2 spots. But I think I meant to take the 1.4 tonight, but it's okay. Either way. Shane says he missed it. Don't worry, we will have plenty more. I just wanted to take a break from Underdog tonight. And I actually drafted 2 Underdog teams earlier while Chris from Fantasy Endgame was streaming, did 2 Best Ball Manias alongside him and some of the Endgame community. So I feel like a mock draft was appropriate for the night. So here we are. Plus, I feel like you guys out there, and I saw some of you guys on the Discord, wanting to specifically mock tonight. And I know you guys are getting closer to your, redraft mocks and everything. So, yeah, I feel like no matter what at the 110, you're kind of in a spot where it's Puka, Gibbs, or Garrett Wilson. Whoever you're going to end up with here. Whoever you like best. I mean, I don't really see in a redraft format anyone from the first 9 players off the board, I think, are going to be the players off the board. So, I mean, maybe something changes by the time we draft, but I think my first round selection, I should say, is probably going to be Puka, if not Garrett Wilson. So I'm probably going wide receiver in the first, unless Bijan or Brees fall to me, or I'm at the 112, then I'll go Gibbs. So the next choice is hard. Do I want to go Marvin Harrison Jr., start double wide receiver, or do I want to take a running back? So I take a running back here. It's Barkley. You've already got Gibbs, Kyron, and JT gone. I'm going to go Barkley here. It's funny because when I made my top 32 video for August, I put Barkley at 15. I felt like at the time that was controversial in terms of rankings, but It's really not. Because if you look at the board right now, um, you've got 15 players off the board. So I had a couple wide receivers ahead of Kyron Williams. I think I had Barkley before JT. So I think maybe that's why I felt like it was more controversial. But I think I had JT right after Barkley. So, but I don't know. Side note. All right. So in terms of, let's see if we have any news for the day. We got DJ Moore getting his extension with the Bears. So shout out to my guy DJ Moore, a 4-year, $110 million extension that includes $82.6 million guaranteed. And just to remind you guys, yes, I was a DJ Moore truther last year. Got a lot of heat for it. To be fair, I was also a Justin Fields truther in the offseason, but I just want to remind you that I may have inspired you to draft DJ Moore last year. So here's an interesting one. This is like the one that nobody wants to hear right now. Tyler Algier is going to have a big role, and at certain points in the season, we're going to be leaning on him, says Falcons offensive coordinator Zach Robinson. So after a season last year where Bijan was underutilized and we saw Algier steal touches, are we going to see it again? Probably not. I think this is coach speak. I mean, what else are you supposed to say about your RB2 who has also had 1,000 rushing yards in his career before? I do think that Algier is one of the best handcuffs you can. I think Algier and Damian Pierce are like probably my favorite handcuffs, but Algier comes at a little bit of a steeper draft price. This is an interesting one too, as I just draft Saquon Barkley at the 2-3. Eagles rookie running back Will Shipley has been getting first team reps in the red zone. And I do like Will Shipley. I've been taking him here and there at the end of underdog drafts as like a final pick. And that's more in theory of like, well, if Barkley misses time, who's going to be the guy to step up? Is it Kenneth Gainwell? Is it Will Shipley? They're both going in the last rounds of underdog drafts or undrafted. You might as well just take one. So, Will Shipley, interesting, but I'm not going to overreact to it. Aaron Rodgers, unlikely to play in the preseason per Robert Saleh. That's not much of anything to me. Preseason is only 3 games now. It's like Rodgers takes one wrong step and is hurt. It's like this Jets franchise is truly doomed. We did see rookie Roman Wilson, wide receiver of the Steelers, carted off with a foot injury during today's practice, so we'll keep an eye on that. But I think the update is that it's a sprain and he's week to week. Roman Wilson is a player who I actually was thinking about the other day because generally, like, I'm a fan of rookie wide receivers on the Pittsburgh Steelers. They seem to develop rookie wide receivers well year after year. And I liked Roman Wilson after he got drafted to the Steelers. But like, it was a good landing spot for him. He should be a wide receiver 2. Got Pickens in front of him. Maybe some target competition from Freiermuth, who is a name that is being more mentioned in terms of Steelers training camp recently, past day or so. But like overall, Roman Wilson should be the number 2 wide receiver. And if we're just looking purely at the wide receiver position on the Steelers. So anyways, he hurt his foot. So all right. I know this is kind of double dipping into the same offense, but I'll take Devonta Smith here at the 310 all day long. I'm so used to, if I'm drafting at the end of the 3rd round, Devonta Smith not being available here because I'm used to underdog ADP. But yeah, if Smith is here, like I do like Kupp there. I think Diggs is okay. I mean, you can like wait a whole nother round and maybe get Dell. So I don't know. Metcalf is good there. Flowers, I think, is fine too. But yeah, if Smith is there, like I don't care if I have Barkley or if I have AJ Brown. Like I just think he's the best available player. So trying to stick, there are good wide receivers available here. Diggs, Flowers, Dell, Pickens, Higgins. But I want to go running back here and especially because this has been a heavy running back draft so far. Joe Mixon's kind of banged up, but it's like this tier. I mean, usually I take Rashad White or James Cook. Cook is long gone at the 3-1. And that was a very light running back. I mean, it's a heavy wide receiver around there. So it's like Cook or Rashad White's who I prefer there. At this point, I know Pacheco's not slipping in these redraft formats anymore. I like Kamara here. I like Kenneth Walker here. I think Mixon's okay, but this is another player right now that we need to keep an eye on because he's hurt. He's not going to play in the preseason opener, has a hamstring issue, might be a nothing burger. He is an older running back at age 28. He's been a top 10 fantasy running back the last 3 seasons. Hurt in 2020. He was RB13, 2019, RB10, 2018. Mixon seems to be a guy who is pretty dang consistent. Now he's on the Texans offense. They should be in the red zone a lot. I'm okay with Mixon here, but I haven't found myself drafting a tremendous amount. Like, I feel like Josh Jacobs, Joe Mixon, the 2 guys in this range of running back that we're talking about that I just have not found myself drafting a tremendous amount of. And it's probably because I really, really like Isaiah Pacheco, James Cook, and Rashad White. I'm okay with Mixon, though. We'll take him. All right. Let me hop in the chat. Smokey, what's going on, man? Glad you got in tonight. Let's go. Let's go. Shane, what up, my guy? Need you to do this pick 6 for me. By the way, guys, so we filled 2 redraft leagues already for the Catch Fam leagues. I have the 3rd league, has 3 spots. If you guys want in, let me know in the chat. Message me on Discord. 3 spots left. $20 buy-in, full PPR. It's the exact format that we're mocking for right now. 12 teams, full PPR. We play a double flex. If you're not playing double flex, you should be. Dom, what's up, my guy? Is mock draft season? Actually, for me, I always say mock draft season starts August 1st. But we've been mocking for months. So, Chase, what's up, my guy? Glad you got to draft from the 1-5. Get to practice. Kat says, I was giving you hate for being a DJ Moore truther. Forgive me my sins. You are forgiven. You are forgiven. One DJ Moore truther to a Gabe Davis truther. You are forgiven. Sometimes, some people are right and some people are wrong. It'll be okay. Cinnabon, what's up, my guy? Hey, take all the notes you can. League 1 always a feisty league. Never know what's going to happen. But most of us have, really, this is like for League 1, some of us have been together 4 years now. That's crazy to think about when I first started this channel. J Fitness in the house. What's up, man? All right. So this next pick, I'm probably going to go wide receiver. I go running back at 6'3". Whenever I do this strat, which is what I did last mock too, which I think is going to end up being the strat that I do in most redraft formats. We're going wide receiver, running back, or the opposite. If you go RB in the first, then RB wide receiver. You just fill out your roster that way, and then take a tight end when they come to you. You feel like it's the right time, take them. Take a quarterback at the right time. But main point is, if you're sitting, like if I'm here at the 5-10, there's a running back that I love. For some reason, I'm in love with Aaron Jones. And you take him and you take a wide receiver in the 6. But y'all know where I'm going with one of these picks. I'm taking a Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver off the board. Give me Rashee Rice. Worthy's there. Hollywood's there. Take one of these wide receivers all day long as my wide receiver 3. Cinnabon ready to destroy Jerry for a second year. Jerry 2 years ago absolutely killed it. Last year, a little bit tougher for him. Andrea, our Catch Fam League #1 winner last year. Made for TV. Always great to have you in the house. What's up, my guy? And this is a spot where actually it is a little tough for me to pass on wide receiver again. There's a couple running backs that I like here, so I'll stick true to the strat. But you look at guys, I mean, Roma Dunze, Jordan Addison, Chris Godwin, Xavier Worthy, Deontay Johnson a little bit further back in ADP. Addison, I like more as like a wide receiver 5 or like a best ball. Like I'll draft Addison as a wide receiver 5 or 6 for sure. If he falls back further enough in redraft, I'll take him. But the guys I like more are Chris Godwin, Xavier Worthy, Deontay Johnson. But take my third running back, give me DeAndre Swift. All right, what's going on, Aquamarine? Is A-Chain being overvalued? He doesn't get much touches. Dolphins offense last year was insane. Might not be the case this year. Yeah. So when you look at it last year for the Dolphins offense, I think they scored I wanted to look it up. I was going to say second most points. Here, I got it right here. Yep, second most points. Cowboys, Dolphins, Niners, Ravens, Lions. And in terms of he doesn't get a lot of touches. So I guess going back to the first point, right? If they regress this year, they're still, and everyone's healthy, they're still probably a top 10 offense in the NFL, right? Doesn't get a lot of touches. I don't know, man. Some of these games where he did perform well and was healthy, 18 touches, 11 touches, 17 touches, 14 touches, 10 touches. So he played in 11, let's say 10 games. Could really argue 9 games. I mean, actually, really, it really is 9 games. So in 5 of those games, he had double-digit touches, and that's not including the reception marks as well. Kind of had a weird stretch. Tennessee, the Jets, and Dallas, where he had lesser. I mean, 7, 9, 7 touches, but week 14 he had 9 targets, 5 receptions, 3 receptions week 15. So, and then on top of that, 7.7 yards per carry, 7.3 yards per catch. Like maybe he doesn't need a ton of touches, you know? And listen, I was a huge Devon A-Chain truther last year. I had Devon A-Chain. I mean, there are a lot of rookie rankings post NFL draft that had A-Chain as like RB5, RB4, and I was like persistent that he was my RB3 in terms of rookies all season long. You guys can go back. I mean, everyone in the community knows that, right? I took a lot of heat for liking Devon A-Chain, but the reason I liked him was specifically because he was in the Dolphins offense. So you guys know that I love Devon A-Chain, right? But the issue I think more for A-Chain is the durability at the end of the day. And the fact that Raheem Mostert will still be involved in this offense. Now you got Jalen Wright potentially around the corner peaking or whatever. But yeah, I think this offense could regress, but maybe they go from like off the second most points scored to like 8th, 7th. You know, I'm just not tremendously worried about it if they do regress. Bigger issue for me would be like if like Tua got hurt, you know, that'd be a different type of regression. But if everyone's healthy, I'm not worried about it. If Tyreek Hill gets hurt, there's a different offense, right? But maybe that's a good thing for A-Chain and or Mostert, you know. I think the big thing with Devon A-Chain, why you see him being drafted where he's drafted, is the ceiling. Like everyone's going to go back to 51 points, 27 points, 21 and a half points in 3 games straight, right? And then in the later stretch, a 25, 23 finish as well. And 2 other double digits in that same stretch at 12 and 13, then 2 singular performances at 9.2 and 4.1. So, you know, if the floor is closer to 12 points, the ceiling is closer to 23-ish points. I think that's what people are chasing. I mean, you just got to imagine too, going back to some of these games, and I personally don't think a ton of this is going to change. I'm not prepared for this draft pick. Hold on. Why is Lamar Jackson available? I mean, I'm usually not taking a quarterback right here, but Lamar Jackson at this point is stupid. It's okay if you want to go Stroud over Jackson. Hurts, Mahomes. Like I go any of those guys over Jackson. I think it's fine. So as long as we're still in the right order here, that's fine. But I'm sticking to my strat because I think come, when it's time to actually draft, I'm not going to see Lamar in the 7th. I'll go Jonathan Brooks. Let's switch it up here. Okay, but going back to our A-Chain talk. I feel like we're going to have a lot of A-Chain talks, right? Go back to some of those games, like week 14, right? Where his ceiling was lower. Raheem Mostert had 2 rushing touchdowns. You go back to week 15, ceiling was lower. Raheem Mostert had 2 rushing touchdowns. Go back to week 16, one of his worst games when fully healthy, if not his worst. Raheem Mostert had a receiving touchdown. So it's hard to say because then you look at those last 2 games, Raheem Mostert didn't play, and he had Devon Achane had 23 points and 13 points. So I still think Mostert's going to be involved this year, but there's a chance that Mostert definitely regresses from what he did last year. I don't think he's going to repeat as a RB5 and PPR, the RB2 and half PPR standard. But Raheem Mostert had 18 rushing touchdowns and 3 receiving touchdowns last year. So I still like Mostert a lot. I think people are really undervaluing what he's going to do in this offense, but he's not going to do that again. He's not going to have 21 total touchdowns again. So I think there's a couple reasons why people like A-Chain. I think where he goes is fine. But yeah, the running back that I prefer or running backs I prefer in that range are Isaiah Pacheco and Derrick Henry, frankly. Do you think Rashid Rice is going to miss time this season? He might. But there's still a very we don't have any word from the NFL on this. So literally I think the report is the Chiefs and the NFL have not talked about this at all. And the Chiefs aren't going to suspend him. Not what this team could potentially do this year offensively. So there's a strong chance that it's 2025, and I've been talking about this for weeks. But even if it is 2025, or excuse me, 2024, I just it doesn't bother me. If you take him at the right value and the right build, and even today, he's my wide receiver 3. It's it just doesn't bother me because once he's back, he's going to be as consistent as anyone. J-Dubs, what's going on, man? Hello. J Fitness, keep 2 or 3 in super flex. Stafford for a 10th, Kyron for a 10th, Kyler for a 12th. I'd keep Kyron and Kyler, and I'm a Stafford fan. But yeah, I think the other 2 are no brainers. You get your QB1, don't have to draft a quarterback. That's always an advantage. Could draft a second one if you think you're worried about Kyler's health, I guess. And then Kyron in the 10th is a no-brainer. It's super flex. Sorry, I forgot about that for a second. But still, you're getting your RB1 in the 10th. That opens up things in the earlier rounds. I could see why you'd want to go Stafford in super flex, but even with that being the circumstance, I go Kyron and Kyler. Give me Evan Ingram all day long in the 9th. I was kind of torn on what to do with that selection there, but Evan Ingram sitting there at the perfect time. So I like Romeo Dobbs here, but already having Watson, I'm like, I don't know if I need a double dip. Then I really like Chuba Hubbard here. And I'm like, I don't think I need to go Chuba Hubbard. Makes you kind of wish I went Jamison Williams or JSN at 8-3 and then went Chuba at the 9th. I don't know if Ingram would be there at 10.3. Obviously, Jacobs went Chuba and went Dobbs. So I'll go Jacoby Myers. And we will move right along. Looking good. All right, Slade, what's going on, my guy? Hope you're doing well. Just curious as to why you took Watson so early. I haven't been paying attention. Yeah, I mean, I'm really high on Christian Watson, but also that's about where he goes. I mean, maybe you see D-Hop before him, but this is about where Watson goes. And sometimes you see Watson go earlier. Sometimes you see him go closer to where Deontay Johnson, Keon Coleman, Chris Godwin went. So sometimes you see him drafted before Ladd McConkey. In Underdog, you're going to see him drafted. I mean, his ADP on Underdog, I'll go ahead and see if it's updated, see if it's changed. I want to say it's 68. 69 on the dot. So I was close. But yeah, on Underdog, he's in between Hopkins and Deontay Johnson, before Ladd McConkey, before Brian Thomas, before JSN, before Keon Coleman, before Jordan Addison. And just after, I mean, the tier before him is Godwin, Rice, Worthy, Dunze, Hopkins. So, and you see Watson drafted against ADP, but that's also like, a tournament where people are chasing a little bit higher upside, so to speak, higher ceilings. So, it makes sense, right? But I'm high on Watson, especially as a wide receiver 4. I mean, maybe prefer him as a wide receiver 5, but the upside that Watson brings to the table, you just can't deny. Are you worried about the injury? That's fine. But if Watson's healthy this year, he is the wide receiver 1 for the Packers. It is not Jaden Reed. And I think Reed's fine. I'm taking shares of Reed and Underdog, but you also got to look back at Reed's fantasy points. It was wide receiver 25 last year. And 8 total touchdowns. Don't forget that. But the red zone looks going to be a little bit different for the Packers this year as well, because now you got Josh Jacobs in the mix as well. So I do like Jaden Reed, but Watson has ability to score from anywhere on the field, where most of Jaden Reed's scoring came closer to the red zone. Not taking anything away from Jaden Reed, don't get me wrong, but then you got to remember Romeo Dobbs still had 8 receiving touchdowns. Like Romeo Dobbs had the same amount of receiving touchdowns as Jaden Reed last year. So, and that's just kind of besides the point. I feel like I'm just knocking Jaden Reed for no reason, but Watson, when healthy, it's all about that upside, right? When he first got started, 2 decent games, 10 and a half, 11 and a half points, and a bad stretch. But then once he was actually like fully healthy, we started to see that ceiling come back. 4 touchdowns in 3 games, the ceiling of 27.6 fantasy points. So I get it. Sometimes you're just guys, like if you're out on them, the injury bothers you too much, whatever it is. I totally get it. But for me, I'm a Watson fan. Give me Rico Dowdle. I was hoping, I almost went over Jacoby Myers. No idea what just happened with this stream, by the way. Just like disappeared from the screen for a second. So sorry. You guys still hear me? Yeah, you can hear me. Okay, good. But I was hoping one of those quarterbacks would fall out there, and no one did, but that's okay. You know me, I will go late round quarterback all day long. But yeah, I was hoping like a Dak or J Lo might fall, and now Purdy's gone. It's okay. It goes pop, lock, and drop it. I'll just go with do what? Doesn't bother me. Cinnabon, hot take. Guys, give me your favorite hot take in the chat. Drake London's going to disappoint everyone this year. I bet he's going to be a Calvin Ridley type of player. You know, I don't think it's crazy to say necessarily. I've gone back and forth on Drake London because, like, I've been taking him pretty much with confidence there at the beginning of the second. I think his touchdown upside is high. And I think Kirk Cousins is going to allow Drake London to play at his best potential. I do believe it. But would I be shocked if it doesn't happen? No. So I do get torn on it. But I do think he could have 8 to 10 receiving touchdowns this year. Easily, as long as he's healthy. And over 1,000 receiving yards for the first time in his career. And I'm a Kirk Cousins believer. So, and why would you not be a Kirk Cousins believer? Well, I think the easy answer is because he's coming off a serious injury, but Cousins was on an MVP type pace last year before he got hurt. Take away that really bad game against Chicago, and that's a weird thing. He had a bad game against Carolina and a bad game against Chicago. Like, Chicago's defense was okay last year. Carolina's defense was not good. But even then, still threw 2 touchdowns against Carolina, just one against Chicago. But outside of those games, he looked great. Ceiling of 28.5 fantasy points week 2. He had 2,300 passing yards, 18 touchdowns in 8 games. So 5 picks. We shall see. He is like, it is a little bit of it's still a steep draft price for Drake London. Smokey forgot how the fam drafted. Should have waited a while for quarterback and tight end. Don't worry, in another week or two, it's not going to be like this. And all those, I mean, like all the quarterbacks, tight ends are still going in order. So people are just loading up elsewhere, but it's still in the right order. What's up, Albert? Would you rather have Tank Dell or T. Higgins? You know, on paper, the volume is probably better for T. Higgins. I guess T. Higgins, but I'm drafting more Tank Dell. So I guess Tank Dell. The upside is probably higher for Tank Dell, but he's got Diggs and Collins in front of him. Still got Schultz, still got Mixon taking away touches. Higgins, I think Higgins, where he's being drafted, is arguably the better value. People are like just out on T. Higgins this year, and he signed his franchise tag. You know, like he's playing this year, so I think I'm drafting more Tank Dell to answer your question. But I think Higgins is arguably the better value. I do find myself drafting Higgins. So. Cat says, in my opinion, Watson's not the number one, even if healthy. Hasn't shown the ability to run the full route tree effectively. It's fair. But I think he's the most like alpha type wide receiver on this team. That's the interesting thing about the Packers wide receivers. It's like they don't really have a number one, you know? I feel like he has the best ability against opposing defenses to act as a number one wide receiver, if that makes sense. But they don't really like the way they operate. They don't have like a true number one wide receiver. Sometimes can work. So if Jaden Daniels fell here, I take Daniels here as a QB2. I mean, you got Goff, Herbert, Cousins, Stafford, Rodgers. But quite frankly, I'm just going to draft best wide receiver ever, Demarcus Robinson. Grail, what's going on? I'm thinking of doing a Superflex mock soon. Guys, if enough of you guys hang around, we'll do a second mock draft. Let's get through some team reviews quickly. We'll do a second mock draft. I will only drop it in the YouTube chat. We can run another one back. How's that sound? But I do want to do a Superflex mock soon. Do another redraft mock. All right, let's hit some team reviews. We got Lamar Action Jackson and George Kittle on J Fitness's team. Taylor, White, Jones, Chandler, Pierce. I'm not a big Aaron Jones guy, but the 5'11 behind JT and White, that's a point where I might take some Aaron Jones. Chandler and Pierce, fine. Wilson, Cup, Adunze, Shakir, Palmer, Lockett. So you're starting Lamar, Kittle, White, Taylor, Wilson, Cup. I think your flex could be a little shaky here, especially in a double flex league. Like I am probably taking a wide receiver over Aaron Jones, Hollywood Brown, or McLaurin, getting them in the flex. And then at the 6-2, maybe I take a Swift, Monty, Najee if I want another running back. Maybe Aaron Jones is still there. I would rather have the ability to take McLaurin or Hollywood Brown, secure them in the flex, then take a guy like Roma Dunze. Quarterback, tight end look good. You know, RB1, RB2, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 are good. I just think you might have some growing pains at the flex. But guys like Shakir, Palmer, Chandler, Lockett in the 12th. I love Pierce as a handcuff. So you have plenty of options. Don't get me wrong. Hot take, Hunter Henry will outscore Dalton Kincaid. Get out of here. All right, Cats at the 1-3. Trevor Lawrence, Bowers, and Freiermuth. Nice. Walker, Pollard, Warren, Brown, McLaughlin. Nice. St. Brown, IU, Collins, Kirk, JSN. Nice. Solid team. You're starting T-Law and Freiermuth, maybe T-Law and Bowers. This is what I love about a 4 wide receiver start in a double flex league, though. Starting Amon-Ra, Ayuk, Collins, and Kirk. Then you're still able to start Walker as your RB1, Pollard as your RB2. And then you got 2 guys in Warren and Chase Brown who can potentially be just as solid RB2s for you. So love that. Jason on the bench. Love that. You got a second tight end and you got Jaleel McLaughlin. Like, very good team, Cats. Chase Brown. We got Kyler in the 11th, beautiful, and Njoku, very nice. A-Chain, Connor, White, Spears, Bucky Irving, we'll take it. Jamar Chase, Chris Olave, George Pickens, Lad McConkey, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson. Pretty good value throughout this draft for you. So we're starting Kyler and Njoku, A-Chain and Connor, A-Chain and White. Then you're starting Chase, Olave, Pickens, and Lad McConkey, or one of those 2 running backs we just mentioned, or Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson potentially, or Spears. This is a good depth team, man. Yeah, that's a good squad. You know, you got everything taken care of, and you have options at the flex. So, yeah, good. Dom, what's up? All right, Burrow and Love. Say no more. Schultz. You know, I'm a Dalton Schultz fan. Bijan Henry, scary. Mostert, Eckler. If you're going to take 4 running backs, this is an ideal situation. DJ Moore, Flowers, Allen Worthy still came out good at wide receiver. I love Sutton in the 9th, Judy in the 13th. Fine. This is a good team. Starting Burrow or Love, Schultz, Bijan Henry, Moore, Flowers, Allen Worthy. Whew. Still got Mostert, Eckler, Sutton, Judy. Nice. This is a good team. All right. W at the 112. We got Goff. Dude, Goff falling all the way to the 13th. Final pick of the draft worked out for you. Goddard and T Hawk. And you said putting Hawk on IR, pick him another player. That's the move. Gibbs, Kyron, Singletary, Chuba, nice. Metcalf, Neighbors, McLaurin, Hollywood, D Hop, Dobbs. Nice. Another good team. Man, you guys killed it tonight. So you're starting Goff and Goddard, Gibbs, Kyron, Metcalf, Neighbors, McLaurin, Hollywood. D Hop and Dobbs can fill in. Singletary, Chuba, great on the bench. Throw Hawkinson on the IR. Very nice. Smoke of the cat. Smokey, I kind of hate when your usernames are like, say, Steelers. I want everything to be Smoke of the cat. It's like my favorite username ever. Guys, I have 3 spots open in the Catch Fam League number 3 redraft PPR $20 buy-in. If you guys need a league to join or you want to play with the community, let me know. It's also looking like I'm going to have at least 1 spot open in the auction league. I might even have a spot open up in the Superflex league. All right. Smokey's got Josh Allen, Trey McBride. You're good there. You went early quarterback, early tight end. C-Mac Jacobs loaded up at running back later. Ford, Corum. For me, if you have C-Mac and Jacobs, you spent that draft capital on those 2 guys. You can stop at Jerome Ford, stop at Blake Corum. You don't need to get Algier, Floyd, and Eli Mitchell. I mean, I get that you got some handcuffs here, but like handcuffs to your specific team. But I think even if you just stop at Algier, that's fine. Because you're pretty light at wide receiver. Higgins, Godwin, Coleman, Johnston. Like, I don't want Quentin Johnston as my wide receiver 4 in a double flex format. So you're starting Allen, McBride, C-Mac, Jacobs, Higgins, Godwin. You got to flex Coleman. Then you got to flex probably Jerome Ford. You ain't flexing Quentin Johnston, I can tell you that, brother, man. But yeah, I mean, other than that, team's fine. Silver Rapture at the 1.1. We got Stroud and A-Rich, which I know is an auto pick, but honestly, I don't really mind it. Laporta, tight end. Cook, Kamara, Benson, Kendrick, Gibson, Lamb, Adams, Deontay in the 7th was nice. Wicks, Rashid Shaheed. Like, you still got good wide receiver value. I think this team's fine. You're starting Stroud and Laporta. You got A-Rich, though. Starting Cook and Kamara, Lamb and Adams, flexing Deontay. Then probably flexing Shaheed, but Trey Benson, Datavion Wicks, both names he could be flexed there. I don't hate it. I mean, for what happened with the accidental double quarterback, I don't hate it, bro. Andrea, what's going on? Hello. All right, let's roast my team quickly. Then we're going to run a second mock draft. So get ready if you want in. I'm only going to put the link in the sleeper. Excuse me. What am I saying? I'm only going to put the link in YouTube chat unless we need to put it elsewhere. But to start, if you guys are in the stream, you're going to get the link first. So, all right, I went Tua in the 12th, Ingram in the 9th, Barkley, Mixon, Swift, Brooks, Dowdle, Puka, Devonta, Rice, Watson, Myers, Robinson. So I talk about this strategy all the time. You pick a wide receiver in the first, you go running back in the second, you just alternate the position, as you can see on the draft board. Pick a tight end when they fell to you. We got really lucky. Ingram fell to the 9th, and then Tua came to us in the 12th. Like I said, if Jaden Daniels fell to 13.10, I take him. Maybe it's better to go like Jaden Daniels to secure him in the 12th and then take like Goff at 13.10. But we also got Demarcus Robinson. That's my guy. So I'd be starting Tua, Ingram, Barkley, Mixon, Puka, Smith, Rice, Watson. But I try to also draft players that I believe could be flex worthy. So Swift, Brooks down the stretch, Myers, Demarcus Robinson, Dowdle, all options in my mind. So I'm good at this squad. Draft of the night is tough because we had some really good drafts. Cats drafted well. Dom drafted really well. J-Dubs drafted well. Chase drafted well. I might go Dom, though. Burrow, Love, Schultz. It depends on how you feel about Schultz. I feel fine. Bijan, Henry, Moore, Flowers, Allen, Worthy. You still got Mostert, Eckler, Sutton, Judy, and Jordan Love. Yeah, I'm going to go with Dom. But like I said, we went over some really good teams tonight. And I really like Cat. I mean, like, if you go 4 wide receiver, Just look at this team. You get to start T-Law, Fryermuth, Amon-Ra, Ayuk, Collins, Kirk, Walker, Pollard, and you still have Warren, JSN, Brown as options. Guys that I all feel like can be start worthy. So some good drafting tonight. All right. Let me get a second mock fired up. I'm going to draft from the 1.4. Three, two, one. In the chat, get in the draft. All right. Let me get this set up. I love that my phone is like buzzing nonstop from you guys joining, which is good. All right, one spot left, ladies and gents. We are starting once full. 12 teams, full PPR, double flex. We are starting the draft in 3, 2, 1, go. Let's do it. Poor Silver Rapture back at the 1.1. All right, wow. We are kicking off our second mock draft. Give me your guys' hottest fantasy take in the chat. And poor Cats. I just skipped right over his hot take. Hunter Henry will outscore Dalton Kincaid. How would this even happen? I mean, I get that like some people Amon-Ra the 1.3. I love it. Some people are arguing like, well, Dawson Knox will still be part of this offense at the tight end position, still get looks, which I don't particularly disagree with. You know, that chemistry between the two, especially in the red zone, is always going to be there. But it didn't really matter last year, although Knox was hurt at times. So outside of that, for me, Kincaid's the number one receiving option on this Bills offense. So we look at Hunter Henry last year. He was the tight end 19. Tight end 22 the year before. Was tight end 10 in 2021 and just didn't really get back to that ever. Played 14 games last year, so he missed a little bit of time. You got Drake May at quarterback. Probably. I mean, you still got Jacoby Brissett, Bailey Zappi on this team, so. But I think they want Drake May out there as soon as possible. Sometimes a rookie quarterback and a tight end one like can be a good thing. You know, rookie quarterbacks look for that security blanket in a tight end. And this Patriots offense is making buzz in training camp. I don't know. I just don't see it. But it's a hot take for a reason, right? Rashid Rice should be valued a lot higher than Hollywood and Worthy, but I understand the legal situation. Yeah. And obviously, if there wasn't a legal situation, he would be valued a lot higher, right? And that's the thing, right? Like if the legal situation never happened, Rashid Rice would be going so much earlier in mock drafts. I mean, he'd probably be at worst a third round pick, you know? And like, I think the more interesting thing is Rashid Rice in Dynasty, like his Dynasty value just completely like fell apart. And Rasheed Rice is still a great dynasty asset. He's still linked to Patty Mahomes for I don't we don't know how long, I guess, but uh, it's- you're right. I mean, and I like Hollywood Brown in this offense. I like Xavier Worthy in this offense. But yeah, if the situation hadn't happened, I mean, realistically, he's a wide receiver one for the Chiefs with these two added options in the offseason. So he's probably going still in like, let's say the Cup Metcalf area at worst. Give me my boy Pacheco here. Pacheco, ETN, Jacobs, whoever you like. I'm gonna try and do my strat again here. Shane, you missed the second one, man. I tried. I tried to give you guys a heads up. My bad. And I said I wasn't gonna put it on Discord, just the YouTube chat, so you had to be here. I'm gonna try and have more streams now that we're moving into August where we do more than one mock. I'm not gonna guarantee it's gonna depend on the night. But I know it's that time of year where you guys need to get more mocks in. I need to do more underdog drafts, believe it or not. I need to do more mock drafts. It's just it's beginning of the best time of the year. Got one more, if we're not including today, which is about to end where I live in 24 minutes. Got one more day of July. I'll take Ayuk here. Talked about this last year when like you could get Saquon Barkley at a value, you could get Josh Jacobs at a value. And albeit, Barkley was hurt at times last year. Jacobs had a very disappointing year. There's a point you could get Eckler at a value. He had a disappointing year, right? Um, Jonathan Taylor, another name. But we had all the running backs going through their contracts, right? And they all fell in ADP. And for a different reason, you could get Brees Hall pretty late. And Brees Hall was another guy I was like, take the discount on Brees Hall. But I just think anytime we're moving into August and you see a player at a discount against their ADP, like Brandon Ayuk was what, wide receiver 15 last year off the top of my head? 14. So, he's going much earlier in mocks. And don't get me wrong, sometimes he still goes at the end of the second, but then sometimes he falls back like we see in this draft. But um, if Gibbs is the 14th player off the board, MH Jr. is the 15th, and Ayuk doesn't have the contract situation going on. Ayuk's probably going right where Kyron Adams and London went tonight on a consistent basis. So if Ayuk re-signs with the Niners, you're able to draft him at a discount. It's like that. That's the type of thing we're going to look for. Rasheed Rice, another good example, right? Like you got to take the Rasheed Rice discount because, and we just talked about this like 10 minutes ago. So I'm not going to go back into it, but because it can absolutely pay off. And then like I can understand wanting to pass on Jordan Addison more in a redraft format. But in like a best ball format, I think especially like you got to take a chance on Jordan Addison, especially when you can draft Addison as like your wide receiver 6 specifically. So, I mean, anytime you're just seeing players pop up at a discount during an off season because of suspensions, because of um, contract situations, I say always take the discount as long as you build around it accordingly. Alvin Kamara, another good situation or another good example of, everyone freaking out, and then he ended up not getting suspended until the following season. So don't get me wrong. And then I think that the opposite for last year too, I guess was more of a bigger point because he was RB16 in 2022. Still got him at a good discount until I think it came out that he wasn't going to get suspended until the following year. So it was a part of the offseason. Then last year, like we knew he was going to be suspended. People were like, he's going to be suspended 8 games. Like people were so sure of that, right? And he was out for 3 games. Then he went 21, 18, 17, 29, 27, 11, 18, 15, 28, 13, 16 in a row in full PPR. 2 bad games in the season, 8.5, 6.9. But like you will take that. Like if you just took the discount on Alvin Kamara last year, like you didn't trade him, you didn't drop him, especially in full PPR. So, and the big point is it paid off, right? I took Mixon last draft. I'll take Kamara since we just talked about him. I think Rice would be a 3rd-round pick. Yeah, and that's right where end of the 3rd is where Kupp, Metcalf go. I think anywhere between like, and if we're just looking at sleeper ADP, PPR mock drafts, anywhere between where Kupp and Higgins go at worst. And I think he'd probably stay there, frankly, because they added Hollywood Brown. They drafted Xavier Worthy, you know? So I think people will get a little worried about that target share potentially going down. And Kelsey's still there, right? Can't forget about Travis. Still the wide receiver or tight end 3 last year. But I think especially like I'm not panicked on Kelsey by any stretch. Still at 121 targets last year, 93 receptions. But we did see at times where they were trying to kind of spell Travis Kelsey. He had 7 or less targets the last 3 weeks of the season, not including week 18, which he didn't play. Then 10 or less targets every week, weeks 8 through 17. 9 or less targets in every single one of those games except for 1. 7 or less targets in every game, weeks 12 through 17, except for 1, week 14 against Buffalo. Give me Cooper. So, point being, now that they have Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and they'll have Rashee Rice and Kadarius Toney. I'm kidding. But now that they have these 3 wide receivers, it's like maybe they continue to kind of back off of his workload during the regular season. And then Mahomes only targets Kelsey in the offseason. I don't know. But I'm not going to panic. Like if Kelsey regresses, like he's still top 5 tight end, I think. So, but that's kind of besides the point. And there goes Rashee Rice, speaking of, at the 5-6. I took Rice last draft, so I'll take Cooper this draft. And I still like Cooper at the 5-4. Honestly, I thought about going Kelsey, but I just don't draft tight ends early. I just don't do it. All right, Katz with his hot takes. Drake May is a player I think he is. No solidified target comp, except Jacoby Brissett. Offensive coordinator in New England utilizes tight ends heavily in this scheme. I expect Buffalo to be more run heavy and Knox to split snaps all year long. That's fair. I mean, you're right. It is a hot take. It's a hot take. This is your reasoning. Your reasoning is fair. At least you gave a hot take. I'll give you that much. All right. End of the 5th we go. Shane, I can seem to draft Laporte in the 3rd when Kelsey, Andrews, McBride, and Kincaid are all later rounds. You can't seem to draft Laporta? I think that's what you're saying. Can or can't? this context does matter. All right, for anyone who wants to get in on our redraft leagues for the year, $20 buy-in, full PPR, exact format that we're drafting in right now. Join our Discord. That link is in the chat right now. Message me and I will get you in. We have 3 spots left in the third league. Trying to get that filled. And these spots will fill up. And I'm probably only going to do one. I usually only do 4 redraft leagues. So I mean, we just opened up on Sunday. It's Tuesday. So this has been a light tight end, light quarterback draft. So we see all 3 of those Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers gone in the third. Rice at the 5'6", Worthy at the 5'9", Hollywood the 5'10". Don't know who I'm going to take with this next pick. Kind of hoping Monty would fall. I kind of prefer the wide receivers on the board right now over running back. I'm going to go Jaden Reed, and I'll see what running back falls to 7-4. Tommy, good to see you, bro. Been working so much. We are missing you in the mocks, sir. What's the word about Tyler Algier being heavily involved? We talked about that earlier. I'm not going to panic about it. I don't think it's going to be to the point of what Arthur Smith was doing. I'm not going to panic about it. But I don't think it's also crazy to say that like Tyler Algier is, going to come in at times to spell Bijan Robinson. Like we all knew Algier is still part of this offense. That's why he's still being drafted as a handcuff. Still being drafted as, a player who still has value at the running back position and the later spots. I don't know if I worded that in a way that made sense, but yeah, I'm just not overly concerned about it. I just don't see like I know it's we have a different head coach and everything, but I just don't see like them looking at this situation and being like, we're just not going to utilize Bijan with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, everything going here. I just don't see it happening. So I'm not going to panic, but yeah, Algier is a handcuff. I mean, I feel similar to Algier how I feel about Dameon Pierce, but I draft more Dameon Pierce because it's just a cheaper draft price. But both those guys, I think where they go, worth the selection. All right, give me Mostert. If you want to go Najee Harris there, that's fine too. Do you draft Kelsey over any of the Chiefs wide receivers? No, because I don't draft tight ends early. So no. Just no. I mean, I'm in position to take a Chiefs wide receiver as a wide receiver 3 or 4, depending on my build. That's where I want to be at. Like that's where the given value is for me at wide receiver. So no. And going back, sorry, Shane, I didn't mean to skip over this, but Shane says I can't seem to draft Laporta in the third when Kelsey, Andrews, McBride, Kincaid are all going in later rounds. Yeah. And like you're gonna see this maybe every now and then fluctuate. And I think Laporta should be drafted as a tight end 1. But I agree. I mean, this is how I just feel about the tight end position in general. Tonight we see no tight ends in the 4th, Andrews in the 5th, then Kelsey and McBride in the 6th. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna wait for a better value. And even then, like you can get Kyle Pitts is at 55 or 55.6. Kittle's at 61.6. Ingram's at 67. Those are still three guys who can finish as top five tight ends this year. You see Ferguson at ADP of 87. And you got like that kind of sleeper area, like Goddard, Schultz, Komet, Fryermuth. And then, Hawkinson is going to miss quite a few weeks, but he's around, I guess. And you got even deeper sleepers. Like I just said, Fryermuth and Musgrave, and then if you want a sure guy, you probably want to take, I would say, I've got Ferguson ahead of Bowers and Njoku personally, but you want to get a tight end by Ingram or Ferguson, in my opinion. And you can get those guys much later. Last draft we got Ingram at the 9-10, right? So, I'm with you, but this is how I feel every year. Like I always, the past couple of years, I've been like, man, I think I might take Kelsey this year. I might just do it, but I just don't. Drafting tight end early is just never part of my strat. Best ball, I'm going to have exposure to those guys. I'm going to do it here and there. Don't get me wrong, but redraft, it just is not a thing I do. Just not. Now, if like you're at a spot where you've drafted, RB1, RB2, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, both flexes. You have two bench players that you believe in. So that puts you in the 9th round. And there's a guy like Kincaid still sitting there. Then it's like, yeah, you draft him, right? Tommy, I need Bijan to break out for my dynasty. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Also have Algier, makes it confusing. Don't be worried. Don't be worried. Do not panic unless like we get a season this year out of Bijan that is as disappointing as last year. Just I would not panic at all. And like with Bijan being disappointing last year, he was still a top 10 fantasy RB and PPR. It was still the RB9. And you know what? There are players I like here, but I'm going to Kincaid at the 8-9. Like I kind of prefer maybe if he falls to the 9-4, but I just don't know that he would. Teams at 1.1, 1.2 don't have a tight end. You got a team with Josh Allen sitting there. So yeah, there goes Pitts. Like I'll take Kincaid here at this point. There's technically by my strat, I'm supposed to go wide receiver here, but there's like no one who blows me out of the park here. I like Dobbs, but I already have Reed, so I don't want to overexpose. And honestly, like if I get Kincaid, or excuse me, if I get Pitts or Ingram at the 9-4, I'm also happy with that, but I prefer Kincaid. As much as I really like Evan Ingram. McConkey or Palmer, if we're looking on 80 based on ADP, I'll go Palmer. But full PPR, I have no problem whatsoever going with Ladd. I think Palmer could be the red zone guy. But yeah, I'll probably take Ladd. Gus Edwards or J.K. Dobbins, for me personally, I'm going with Gus the Bus. I think he'll be healthy. I think he'll be the guy. I've been on the Gus bus all off season long. The Gus bus train. Is that a thing? I'm not getting off it. He better be the guy because he's one of my most drafted players in Underdog. Is Kelsey's age a concern? No. Listen, when there's a player like a Travis Kelce, okay, a Christian McCaffrey, Mike Evans, like Tyreek Hill, like as long as these guys put up the numbers the previous season and they're in a good offensive situation, you keep drafting them. You just do. You can't try and guess like, oh, this is the year they're finally going to fall off. And it does happen. Like, I think Julio Jones, one of the better examples in recent memory of a guy who just like, see ya, like not relevant. And I even went to the Buccaneers with Tom Brady, still not relevant, just fell off. You know, sometimes it's different things, injury, age, combination, different team, all three. You know, can't guard Mike. Was on a Hall of Fame pace. Odell Beckham, and I think Beckham um has done. Beckham still had a great career. I don't. Yes, he is not prime Odell Beckham. Has not been prime Odell Beckham in a long time, but still won a Super Bowl. Still helped the Ravens get to AFC Championship game last year. Um, but another guy, fantasy wise, who fell off. So what happens? But yeah, like I'm not going to worry about a player Travis Kelsey's caliber being a year older, especially in this system. And honestly, like I just said, like uh when we look at things, I think this year is going to really help Travis Kelsey. Why is Eckler low in ranks is a good question. He actually went a little early tonight. Slade takes him at the 7.12, but usually you'd see him closer to the range of like where kind of like Chuba Hubbard, Gus Edwards went, but even Chuba went a little bit early, which I'm okay with. People are down on Eckler. I like Austin Eckler this year. At his ADP, I love him. But the reason he's down is because he was hurt last year. And he was a disappointment last year. And he just looked like he lost a big step. After injury, he didn't look the same. But I have talked about this in the offseason. I have talked about this in videos. Okay, Austin Eckler played in 14 games last year. He still gave you double digits in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. So over half the games he played in, still gave you double digits. Still had over 1,000 yards from scrimmage and still had 6 total touchdowns. He will have competition this year with Brian Robinson, who I took in this draft, who was RB21 last year. And another player who kind of was slept on last year, who had a point I think there was a point last year where B-Rob was Brian Robinson, I guess I should specify, was a top 5 running back, top 8 running back, but didn't really keep up that pace. So, but yeah, he'll have competition, but it's a Cliff Kingsbury offense. Jaden Daniels at quarterback. I like Eckler. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a reason he's lower. Man, Dobbs is still here. I feel like I have to take Dobbs. I'll go Trey Benson though. We're gonna go hunting for some late round wide receivers in this draft. This has been a weird draft where I felt like there's been a lot of good value at other positions. We'll go Benson. We'll get a late quarterback. We'll take 2 wide receivers to end. But I like Dobbs here. I still like Jacoby Myers. I like Rashid Shaheed. Lockett's okay at this point. But I mean, we got 4 stud wide receivers. We'll be okay. Shane says, I love Kincaid. Tommy says, I love Kincaid, my dude, but I'm almost tempted to wait on Ingram. Great value. Took him my home league last year. Didn't disappoint. Yeah. Ingram, I really don't think in another 2 weeks is going to go where he's going in drafts because it's like, it just doesn't make any sense. And people are there's just so many shiny toys brand new toys at tight end, right? You got Laporta. You got McBride. Don't forget, I was very high on McBride last year. Kincaid. Those 3 guys, very shiny right now, right? But then you still got Kelsey. You still got Andrews in there, and Andrews was hurt last year, right? Then now you got Kyle Pitts with an actual quarterback. So it's 6 guys, right? Then you got Ingram. But you break things down. I think Romeo Dobbs is the best player available. I was going to take him. I was hoping Dak would fall, but Juicy J Take second quarterback, which is fine. If Dak was there, I'm smashing the draft button. I was going to take Dak over Benson, but I knew Benson wouldn't come back. So, oh, you still got Kittle too. Sometimes Kittle goes before Ingram. Didn't tonight, but Kittle can go before Ingram. And I think Ferguson's right outside this tier too. But yeah, when you break things down last year, Evan Ingram was a tight end 2. He was a tight end 5 the year before. And what's different this year? Nothing. Don't tell me Brian Thomas Jr. because Calvin Ridley was there last year. So, and really between weeks 13 and 17, because we're not including week 18, which he also balled out in, but this kind of stretch leading into the fantasy playoffs was huge because he had 6.8 against Baltimore, which is a disappointment. Trevor Lawrence got hurt that game. But other than that, 23, 32, 17, and 12. Evan Ingram was like a league winning tight end last year. And on the season, we have single digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. But you know what's crazy? Is it's really, or I guess it's 7 times. But even then, it's still crazy. You know why? Because 3 of those are 9.5, 9.9, and 9.9. Like he barely missed the mark. So if you don't include those games, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, which is very good by tight end standards, you know? So we'll see. I like waiting on Ingram, but I don't know if we're going to be able to for a tremendous amount of time longer. Shane, I feel like in the mocks we do here, all tight end quarterbacks are pushed down the board. Any other channel I do mocks, they go way higher. Still avoid quarterback and tight end those also. I mean, it just it happens with this group. But as long as all the quarterbacks and tight end get drafted in the same order, I don't really care. But this will change in the next coming weeks. It just does. But I think you know, as long as you prepare yourself for it, doesn't matter. That's why like I almost didn't want to go Kincaid in the 8th because I'm like, am I really going to be able to get Kincaid in the 8th? But when we draft for these actual catch fam leagues, like I'm telling you, someone's going to take a Josh Allen in the 2nd. It always happens. That's also part of why I like consistently like to go late round quarterback, late round tight end. It's not because like I feel like I'm getting such a great value. It's because it prepares me to like, oh, when I do come out of our actual drafts, I'm going to have a late round quarterback, have a late round tight end. Speaking of, give me Jaden Daniels. I'm going to come out of this team with 5 wide receivers, which makes me feel not good. I didn't really need Trey Benson on this team. But it's like if I go wide receiver there, I guess it's Myers then Dobbs. It's just like fine, but I feel like Benson is overall better value. Like you can always flex a running back. It's not the thing that you can't do. It's just I prefer to flex a wide receiver. So I prefer to have that depth at wide receiver. And plenty of times I'm just taking one quarterback here. But if I take Jaden Daniels, which is I think completely fine to do, there's good reason to do so. I'm still taking a second quarterback. Going into the 13th, we got Caleb Williams. I won't take a second rookie quarterback. Herbert, Cousins, Stafford, Rodgers, Mayfield, Watson. So, like, I get one of these veteran quarterbacks, I'm good. You know, I actually prefer Matthew Stafford. I'm okay with Herbert, though. It's kind of a tough pick, actually. I'll go Stafford. I don't care. I think both are fine. Tyreek or Jamar this year? Definitely Tyreek for me. Definitely Tyreek. Still like Jamar though. If I do ADP just for catch like last year, they'd probably be going normal at ADP for sure. You should do those spreadsheets again. I found the old ones. I was like going through, cleared a ton of stuff, getting ready for this year, and I found those. And I was like, oh, I remember when Shane did our spreadsheets. That was cool. All that I'm hearing from coaches camp leads me to believe that Benson might be a bad pick at ADP, battling for the number 2 spot. And regardless, sounds like Connor's a straight bell cow till injury strikes. I won't be surprised. I have not been drafting Trey Benson aggressively. I like Trey Benson, like as a prospect. But I mean, who's the number 2 then? I'm just interested. Is it Amari DeMarcado? Yeah, he's getting plenty of first team reps. I mean, Amari DeMarcado had like 2 games last year, 4 games where he was good. So, man, Michael Carter. Michael Carter is on this team. So as a player, like Michael Carter used to be a guy. I think last year I took all the time at the end of fantasy drafts, underdog drafts. Yeah, Amari and Michael Carter. Okay, that's something to monitor. I don't have a tremendous amount of shares of Benson, so we'll keep an eye on it. But for tonight's purposes, he's a great pick. All right. Team reviews. Let's do it. Smoke of the Cat. We got Hertz, McBride, and Schultz. Nice. Mixon, Moss, Ford, Gibby, Pierce. I think that could work, actually. St. Brown, Debo, Waddle, Watson, Myers. This is a good team. Starting Hertz, McBride, Mixon, Moss, St. Brown, Debo, Waddle, Watson. And really, you can start Ford over Moss if Chase Brown's stealing too many touches. But I think Moss is still that goal line guy, right? I like Myers in the 11th. I like Pierce in the 13th. Good squad. Especially if Watson stays healthy. St. Brown, Debo, Waddle, Watson with McBride and Hertz. Mixon stays healthy. Rotate that RB2. Looks good to me. All right, J Fitness. We got Stroud and Fergie. Etienne, Monty, Najee, Javante. Good late round running backs. JJ London, Higgins, Allen, Shakir, Cooks, Mike Williams. So you're starting Stroud and Fergie, Etienne, Monty, JJ London, Higgins, Allen. It's a good starting lineup. I like Harris and Javante on the bench. And I think where you like started to build your depth at wide receiver after getting 4, Shakir and Cooks are good picks. I'm not a Mike Williams guy, but I'm not going to knock a 13th round pick. So not bad. Slade, it's good to have you back, man. What up? We got Tua in the 12th and Joku in the 10th. JT Barkley, Eckler, Dobbins, Herbert. You literally asked about Eckler. I didn't even. Oh no, that was Aquamarine. My bad. I was gonna say I didn't notice that you asked, and I was like, someone took him in the 7th, but I'm wrong. So Neighbors, Smith, Addison, Ridley, Coleman, Dotson. Actually, pretty good value at wide receiver. So you're starting Tua and Njoku, Taylor Barkley, Neighbors, Smith, Addison, Ridley in a perfect world. But I think Dotson and Coleman can fill in at the flex. Like, I'm fine with Eckler as an RB3, but I prefer him as RB4. Dobbins, Herbert, I still think have question marks. So, I mean, it seems fine. Plenty of upside. It's an interesting build. Let me go over a couple more teams here. Cats. It's like if Cats had exposure. And I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong screen. I'm sorry, guys. This whole time I thought I was scrolling up and down, highlighting teams. My bad. If Cats had exposure in our mock drafts, his Trevor Lawrence exposure would be at like 95%. T Law, Kelsey, Hall, Henry, Brown, and Chuba. And like, guys, I think this is a smart thing to realize. Like, if you go double hero running back, there is a reason why it's called double hero running back. If it's okay if you just draft 4 running backs, there's going to be running backs that pop up on the waiver wire. Then you get 2 guys late that can be like workhorse running backs or have upside. And that's what Chase Brown and Chuba Hubbard are. Like, you're drafting Brees Hall and Derrick Henry to literally like win you, like have enough points to win you a fantasy. I don't know why I'm doing this, but this is a good example of staying true to double hero running back strategy. Evans, Kirk, Rice, JMO. I love that. I love Downs in the 10th. I'm starting to rise on Josh Downs personally. Tavon Wicks, I love in the 11th. I think Bateman's good in the 13th. So it's a nice little squad. You'll go T Law, Kelsey, Hall, Henry, Evans, Kirk, Rice, JMO. But everyone you got here on the bench adds value to your team. So that's a good team. I hate to make Cats feel good, but that's a good team. All right, Andrea, what's going on? We got Kyler and Kittle. Good there. Kyron, White, Connor, Spears, Lloyd, Brown, Cup, Worthy, JSN, Shaheed, Mooney. So this is similar to this is the strategy that I talk about, right? And it turned out pretty good. Like with this strategy, like your team never feels like necessarily over the top, but it feels you have depth, you're prepared, and you're just not really lacking anything. Like you're starting Kyler, Kittle, Kyron, White, Brown, Cup, Worthy, JSN, but Connor and Spears can be flex. Shaheed, Lloyd, and Mooney all add value to this roster. And I think Shaheed to start can even be flex too. So it's a good team. Just a solid squad. Rogers backing up. Love just felt right. Rate the squad. Let me know when you can put that super flex draft together. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have you, bro. Glad you're back in it. All right, J-Lo and Rogers. Yeah, get the team back together there. Mandrews, Gibbs, Jacobs, Stevenson, Brooks, McLaughlin. Pretty good running backs. Wilson, Diggs, Brian Thomas, A.D. Mitchell, Palmer. I might go with a wide receiver over McLaughlin, but I get why you went with the 5th with Brooks maybe not being ready to start the year. So I just feel kind of shaky about 2 rookie wide receivers as my wide receivers 3 and 4. And right now, if you look at training camp buzz, like Josh Downs is the Colts wide receiver to draft. He's getting more involved than A.D. Mitchell right now, but starting Love, Andrews, Gibbs, Jacobs, Wilson, Diggs. I think he might be flexing Stevenson than flexing Brian Thomas, which is okay. And I guess Palmer could be flexed too. He's a good value where he got him. So team's fine with waiver wire moves. All right, we got Dubby with my homies. I love when you do. Look at the beauty of this draft board. All wide receivers, a quarterback, all running backs, all tight ends. Color coordinated. We got Mahomes, Goddard, Musgrave, good at quarterback, good at tight end. Puka, MH Jr., Metcalf, Dell, Brown. Jeez. 0 RB team for sure. Warren, Singletary, Corum, Charbs, Algier, but man, you get like a 10 to 12 point ceiling out of these running backs on a consistent basis. This team just smacks because you're starting Mahomes, Goddard, Puka, MH Jr., Metcalf, Dell, then you still have Hollywood Brown. Like you're set at wide receiver and flex. You got Mahomes at quarterback. You have great value at tight end. And trying to look at the board. Yeah, I mean, honestly, with what was there at running back, like this is perfectly fine. That's a great 0 RB team. I mean, I don't know in 3 weeks if you're going to get Mahomes in the 6, but it's fine. Silver Rapture, we got Lamar and Goff. Fine. Ingram in the 8th. That's fine. C-Mac, White, Dowdle, Chandler, a true hero RB team, but I like White as RB2. Pittman, Olave, Flowers, Godwin, McConkey, nice. Judy's fine. I mean, for a hero RB team, this is fine. You got great value at quarterback and tight end, though. Starting Lamar and Ingram, CMC, White, Pittman, Olave, Flowers, Godwin. Pretty decent. Like I think McConkey, Dowdle, Chandler, and Judy are all fine on the bench, and Goff, obviously. So I like this more than the first team you drafted. I think you might too. So this team's fine. All right, let's roast my team. Dude, I think I got to get drafted of the night. Andrea, thank you. Have a great night. I think I got to get drafted of the night to Cats. T-Law, Kelsey, Hall, Henry, Evans, Kirk, Rice, J-Mo. But I also really like Chase Brown, Chuba, Downs, and Tavion Wicks. I think Bateman's fine. But for a 0 RB team, I really do like your team, J-Dubs. I think overall I'll go Cats, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. What did I do? I got Jaden Daniels and Stafford, then Kincaid, Pacheco, Kamara, Mostert, B-Rob, Benson, Hill, Ayuk, Cooper, Reed, Dobbs. I don't really like to draft like, maybe in best ball it's different, but I don't really love drafting like two of those Packers wide receivers. But Dobbs kept falling. I was considering Dobbs at 9-4 and 10-9, then he's there at 11-4. You just can't not take him. So I'm starting whichever quarterback, Daniels or Stafford, Kincaid, Pacheco, Kamara, Hill, Ayuk, Cooper, Reed. Good running back depth, poor wide receiver depth, but everything else on this team I think looks good. So I do like this team. All right, ladies and gents, we got 2 mocks done tonight. Like I said, I'm going to try and do more drafts like this. Excuse me, more streams like this where we get an additional mock draft in. I know I've been doing a lot of Underdog content lately. I know not everyone wants to draft Underdog, but it's just that time of year like where you just got to knock those out. And I do really enjoy doing those. And we still have plenty of good fantasy discussions on those nights. So maybe we'll start to do some streams where like we start with a mock and then I do an Underdog draft. Whoever wants to do the Underdog draft sticks around. I don't know. We'll switch it up a little bit here, but I'm also still going to do plenty of Underdog drafts. So, but yeah, we'll have a video coming out tomorrow. We'll have a short coming out tomorrow. Plenty of content for you guys. And I'll be back on maybe tomorrow, maybe not. We'll find out. Wednesday, Thursday is usually my 2 days up in the air, but lately I'm like, I'm going to find a way to stream because it's that time of year, ladies and gentlemen. We'll just see what happens. But at worst, we have a video coming out tomorrow and a short, and we're going to continue to get as much content out for you guys as possible every day through the month of August, all the way through the end, week 17. So thank you guys for drafting tonight. 2 great mock drafts in a row. You guys killed it. We'll be back soon. Like I said, guys, get on the Discord. If you guys want to get in our PPR drafts for the upcoming fantasy season, $20 buy-in. I have room. I have 3 spots in the 3rd league we're trying to fill. We'd love to have you guys in. Let's get that filled. $20 buy-in. The leagues are filling quickly. But if you don't want to get in, still join our free Discord so you can find out when we are mock drafting, get our mock draft invites, as well as when I'm going live for Underdog drafts. And as well as ask fantasy questions, connect with the community, post your guys' mock drafts, post your guys' teams that you draft, ask fantasy questions, whatever it is. So, all right, love you guys, man. Love the community, love the catch fam. I'll talk to you guys soon. With that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the catch. And peace. Sorry, I did that so weird. I was trying to get all the comments up on this stream, but